Hey y'all, let's talk about your test tomorrow, which is on the elements and the principles of design. So I'm going to do a little review with you, and then I might do some test questions at the end as long as I don't forget. So if you're watching this video, you get a little treat. There's no notes to take on this, but you're going to want your notes up to date since you can use them on your tests because I can't stop you from using them on your test. Um, so yeah, listen up. Make sure you know all of this stuff. Replay it, reread it, whatever you need to do to make sure you're good to go. So just a quick run through of these elements of design. We have 7 elements of design. Something good for just knowing this list is if a question says, which element of design represents blah, blah, blah? Then if you have answer choices, line, form, balance, and emphasis, you could go ahead and strike out balance and emphasis because you're like, well, those aren't elements of design. I know those aren't the right answers because it said which element of design, and then you only have to decide between line and form. So that's one good reason to know the difference, what your set of elements are and your set of principles are. Line is your most basic element. It connects 2 dots. That's what a line literally does. Connects 2 dots. Dot to dot. Line. Horizontal lines, remember these yellow highlighted things are the most important parts. You get a feeling of relaxation, calmness, and restfulness. You sleep in horizontal position. Sunsets are horizontal. All these things are calm, tired, sleepy, all those things. That should help you remember horizontal lines. All these pictures have examples of horizontal lines. I do like to put pictures in my tests, so expect a couple of them saying where are, the horizontal lines in this room, where are the vertical lines in this room, for example. Vertical lines show height, strength, dignity, stability, power, columns, skyscrapers, hills, all these things that are just like tall and powerful. All these things have a very obvious vertical line in the rooms. Diagonal lines are a suggestion of energy and action, like a heart rate, heartbeat monitor, a Nike check, a lightning bolt, all of those things that suggest energy and action. All of these rooms have great examples of diagonal lines. Look at how much energy these rooms have in them, just like coming out of their pictures compared to these rooms that look way more calm. And then you get this, and you're just like, ooh, a lot more going on. My eyeballs are intrigued. Curved lines are organization, eternity, uniformity, softness, freedom, and openness. All these like calmy, they're calm, but they're not calm in the same way as horizontal lines are. All these good free flowy horizontal lines in these pictures. Shape versus form. Shapes are flat. Forms are round. Okay? So if you have like a circle, it's a shape. If you have a sphere, that's the form version of that. If you have a rug, that's flat. If you have a couch, that's a form. Here are your 3 guidelines for using form. Very important. Form follows function. Whatever it's made like, it has a purpose for why it was made that way. For example, I just noticed this on my desk. That'd be a good example. This is a pill box. It is a form. It has all my vitamins and my prescriptions for the day. It has these easy little tabs. You just pop it and it pops open. Now, why was this made to open so easily? Isn't that dangerous for kids? True. What kind of people take a bunch of pills usually? Except for me. Old folks. What do they have in their hands? Arthritis. Can't use them good. So if it was hard to open up, they couldn't open it to take their pills to help their arthritis, which totally defeats the point. So that form follows its function of opening easily. Related forms are more agreeable than unrelated forms. If it matches, it looks better than if it doesn't match. Remember, this X'd out picture is old Ralph that lives in his mom's basement. Rule 3 would be a gradual change in form can smoothly direct the eyes. So we want it to gradually change in its form and not go like this or like this. There's a gradual change in form. Nice even transition. Shapes, they need to have a purpose. They should complement, enhance, or ground the forms that we have. They can't just be all thrown out in the middle of the floor willy-nilly. You don't stick a rug over there in the corner. No, you stick it under your furniture. You give it a purpose. Um, think about what spaces are. Remember, it's just AKA the room. Think about if you have a really big space, like in this room, how are you going to separate those spaces? So what these people have done is they have made like rock walls in the living area, and then they have kitchen-y type walls in the kitchen area, and they have plain old painted walls in the dining area. They've made some changes that way. They've made a change to what types of lights are in each area. They have done this ceiling underhang like this to separate the areas. So there's different ways to separate your spaces. Space can be high mass or low mass. I noticed several test questions about this. High mass basically means crowded. Low mass basically means not crowded. So we talk about if a space is high mass or low mass. Is it crowded or is it not crowded? Does it have a lot of stuff in it or is it pretty open and bare? Is the space high mass or low mass? The reason we showed this picture is to show that a space can be both high mass and low mass. Where like over here by the TV area is pretty high mass, it's pretty tight, but then over here in the walkway, it's open, it's pretty low mass. You're not gonna have any questions that are both though. Texture is your next to last element of design. It's the way something feels or appears to feel. Sometimes you touch something and you thought it was going to feel one way and it didn't, or it's a picture of texture and it doesn't actually feel a way. So your two options for that are tactile and visual. Another word for tactile is actual. So something that is tactile is these furry flower thingamajiggies back here. I can touch it and feel the prickliness. A visual texture would be if something looks like it's going to feel rough or slimy or furry, but then it doesn't actually feel that way because it's just a picture of it. Pattern, we have three types of pattern: geometric, naturalistic, and abstract. Organic is another word for naturalistic. So geometric, think geometry. You've got squares and triangles and rectangles and hexagons. Things that have angles is what geometry is basically about. And then you have naturalistic, think nature. What shapes are found in nature? You don't find angles in nature for the most part. You have like nice curvy, flowy things. And then abstract is when you combine both of those things together. And we learned about color in a whole entire unit. Okay, so there's that slide. Here's your principles of design quick overview. Let me go back to my top. Okay. So remember, principles of design are guidelines for working with the elements of design, basically like rules for how you use the elements. Balance, emphasis, rhythm, scale, proportion, and harmony. So balance is equilibrium among parts of a design. We have two types. We have symmetrical or formal balance, which means it's exactly the same on both sides. Like your face minus hair should be symmetrical. It's the same on both sides. It's very traditional, it's very formal, it's very elegant, it's predictable. It's not like super funky and interesting. Then we have asymmetrical, which is the opposite. It's not the same on both sides. It's more funky. It's more interesting. It's not really formal. It's more just like artistic and creative. And then we have some examples. Again, emphasis is these three rules for emphasis. Like we have three rooms for form. Make sure their focal point is worthy of that attention. Is it something really ugly in a room and it's getting all the attention and that's the emphasis? No, that's not worthy of the attention in the room. Make sure your focal point dominates the room but doesn't overpower it. Like it should be obvious what that focal point is, but it shouldn't be like, oh, overpowering. Like, oh, that's a big fireplace. I think it's going to fall on me. That will be overpowering. No feature should compete with the focal point. You shouldn't have like two or three things where you're like, oh, I don't know what the focal point is. I'm not really sure. It should be pretty obvious. So are these focal points worthy? And we said, yes, they are. But then in this room, we said, what is the focal point? The thing we notice the most is this fiddly fig over here in the corner. And is that worthy? No, it's a random tree. It's a beautiful tree. It's very in style, but like, no, there's other things in this room that are way cooler. Then we have rhythm. We have 5 types of rhythm: repetition, gradation, radiation, opposition, and transition. So rhythm happens when your eyes go from one area of a design to another area of a design. And this is in all art. It's not just interior design. It's exterior design. It's in like paintings, drawings, photography. It's in sculptures. There's rhythm in music. There's rhythm in theatrical performances. All art forms, there is rhythm. There's all of these elements and principles, actually. So repetition just means something's repeating. Easy peasy. Gradation means like here is large to small, or is dark to light. It could be thick to thin, tall to short, rough to smooth. Anything is just like a gradual change. Radiation means you have that center point and you have things coming out from it. I think in one of your questions I may talk about a place setting, where you have like a bowl, and then you have a plate, and then you have a placemat and a charger, and you have all these like layers of circular things getting larger and larger, and that's rhythm by radiation. Transition means curves repeating, like this archway repeats. Opposition just means anything that's opposite. In this picture, it's black and white, and it is vertical and horizontal happening together. It could be old and new, ornate with plain. It could be rough and smooth. It could be two opposing design styles. Scale is what we seem to get a little mixed up on. Scale is the size of a room in general. Size of an object in relation to other objects in a room. Like, is this couch the right size for the room? Is this rug the right size for the room? Everything is comparison to the room. That is scale. We also have visual weight as part of scale, which means like you have two same things, but one looks heavier than the other because of color, because of material, because of texture, even though they are exactly the same thing. That's visual weight. These cakes, for example, we know they are exactly the same cakes. Well, this one is darker, and this one is lighter. This chocolate one is visually heavier. It has a heavier visual weight than the lighter one because it's darker. That's all. Same thing with these chairs. This one has heavier visual weight because it's darker. These chairs are the same size because this one is thicker. It says it's heavier visual weight to us. Proportion is when you have parts to a whole. So lamp base to lamp shade, or coffee table to couch. Those things are a whole. They are a pair. They are a partner. They were bought together to go together. That's proportion. Ratio, I'm not really going to read on this one much. I found a presentation about ratio. I attached it in your study help for tonight, but I'm also going to kind of read over it quickly next. Harmony is made up of both unity and variety. Someone asked me in the questions, why is unity and variety not its own thing? I think that's a great question. I'm not really sure why. I guess ideally harmony is what you want, both unity and variety in a room. But that's not to say that just unity or just variety to an extent is wrong. Okay, that is that presentation. And now let's go over. Oh, I just want to show you a couple slides off this real quick. This is an old presentation that I used to use, and then I updated it because the pictures are so bad. I just like stole this offline a couple years ago, or several years ago, like one of the first years I taught interior design. But it does have some good visuals, even though it's hideous. Okay, so we have a series of pictures that we're going to go through, and it's going to ask you, is something too big, too small, or just right in this room? So in this case, we're looking at this coffee table, supposed to be, situation. Is that too big, too small, or just right for the room? Hopefully you say too small. So now it's a little bigger. Okay, what we're looking at that? We weren't looking. I think the coffee table is changing sizes. Okay, let's also look at this chair. Is it too big, too small, or just right? It's too big. Look how much taller it is than this couch. Look with this one. Is this too big, too small, or just right? is much lower than the top of this couch. And then there's this one that's the same height as the couch. And I don't know if that coffee table is getting bigger or smaller, or if they're changing the angle that they're taking this picture at. And they're just changing the angle. But compared to the chair, it makes it look even smaller. Either way, it's a bad decision. All right, next option is I know we're looking at this coffee table in this picture. Now think about your ratios. Is this too big compared to this couch? Too small or just right? It should be too big. It's the same size as the couch. It's goofy looking. Look at this one. It's too small. It's teeny weeny. But this one is just right. It lines up between the center of these outside cushions. Now we're looking at this side table. And the side table should be the same height as the arm of the couch or chair that is sitting beside. So is this side table too big, too small, or just right? It's too big. This one, not the same height as that. It's too small. This one, it is the same height as this arm. It's just right. So what's happening is you're going to set your drink right here, and your elbow is going to stay where it's at. So it's going to pick it up, and it's going to come to you. It's going to pick it up, it's going to come to you. If you're picking it up from around here, and then you're bringing it up, you're picking it up from up here and bringing it down, like minimal thing, third world problems, first world problems, but like that's where it should be. Okay, here's something. It's not exactly an object. That's a different concept for us. Wallpaper. The pattern on the wallpaper. Is it too big, too small, or just right? It's too big. It's too busy of a wallpaper for this small of a bathroom. That's too plain for this small of a bathroom. And that should be just right for the size of a bathroom. Of course, you may think they're all hideous, but that was cool in like 1992. Okay, now we're looking at this rug, if I remember. Is it too big, too small, or just right for this space? It's too big. It goes like way back here behind this chair, and it shouldn't. It should only be slightly bigger than the couch because the couch to the rug is a ratio. Now look at that. It's too small. It's silly. It's like a little rug for 2 feet of the coffee table. Now it's just right. Slightly bigger than the couch. Okay, I think this is the last one. The picture behind the couch. Too big, too small, or just right? It's too big. It's the same width as the back of the couch. It's way too big. It's off ratio. It's out of proportion. This one, too small. It's way less than 2/3 of the couch. But this one, it is 2/3 of the couch. It takes up 2 out of the 3 sections of the couch. All right, and that's where I'm going to stop that PowerPoint. Last one is this ratio thing. We'll go through them quickly. I won't go through all of them though. Okay, here's some lines just kind of showing like 2 to 3 parts. Okay, same thing with this couch and coffee table, 3 lines to 5 parts, 5 to 8. When things are out of ratio, they look goofy. Look how big this picture is behind this couch. It's silly looking. Look how many chairs we have for this size of table. It's too full looking. Also look at how small that rug is compared to the size of the table. It's too small. It needs to be about a foot bigger on each side. And then how much stuff is going on behind this couch. It's too much compared to this little low couch. Look at how chunky this furniture is compared to the rest of it. It's a little too thick for this low of furniture. Okay. Oh, there's more. Okay. This is a coffee table. Too tiny for this area. Picture behind this couch. Too big. But sometimes it still looks okay, even though it's not exactly the ratio. Because these pictures are so light and calm and airy, it still looks okay. Same here, because we've got this long and low couch, we've got this long and low picture. It's not. If it was taller, it would look out of proportion. But the fact that it's shorter, it doesn't look quite as bad. Same. You've got these 2 paintings or 2 artworks. And they go to the corners of the couch back almost, but because they've got this gap in the middle, if you were to, so right now they're separated, if you were to smoosh them together, they would take up less space and might be closer to ratio. Or yeah. And that's the last one. Okay, so that is your quick review. Let me do a couple test questions, and then we will be ready for a test tomorrow, maybe. Okay, so Macy's 10 by 10 room is filled with a lot of furniture and accessories. It would be considered high mass or low mass? High mass. Hannah selected fabric for pillows that has polka dots and stripes. What type of pattern is that? Is it abstract or realistic? Well, realistic's not a type of pattern. It's abstract. Sarah wanted to redo her bedroom in a cottage style using shiplap for the wall treatment. The shiplap on the walls is an example of which type of line. You need to know what shiplap is. I think we went over that. If you don't know what shiplap is, Google it. It's SHIPLAP. Ship like a boat, lap like your thighs. So shiplap, is it horizontal or curved lines? It's going to be horizontal. Alice was given a small antique lamp for the hallway. The base of the lamp was very small, but the lampshade was very large. Replacing the lampshade with a smaller one would put the lamp into what? Proportion or variety? Proportion. Parts to a whole. Baseboards used in a room are an example of which type of line? A baseboard is that bottom line around the bottom of your room. So see this black piece of strip around the bottom of my wall? That's a baseboard. In your house, they're probably either white or wood. So what type of line is baseboard? Is it going to be vertical or horizontal? Horizontal. The living room was artistically designed using round mirrors, a spherical chandelier, and a circular patterned wallpaper. Which form of rhythm was used? Would it be opposition or repetition? I'm going to say repetition because what you're repeating are circular curved things. Many houses in the downtown area had unique architectural features. The homes with the sharp angled roof lines stood out, creating some excitement and energy in the older neighborhood. These angled roof lines illustrate what line type? All you need to know there is angled roofs are what type of line. Forget all that extra information. Would that be diagonal or curved? Diagonal. When creating a display of sports pictures on a wall, one should follow the golden mean. Which ratio will create a more pleasing look? The golden mean is another word for the ratios. Would it be three to three or 2-3? 2-3, because 3-3 isn't one we learned about. We learned about 2-3, 3-5, and 5-8. Two more. In a glass bowl of seashells, one can feel the smoothness of the bowl and the roughness of the seashells. This type of texture that one can touch is called what? Is it called tactile or visual? Tactile. Tactile touch. TNT. Last one that I'm going to give away for you. When a furniture designer brainstorms ideas for a new desk chair, an important guideline for using form is that form follows what? Workmanship or function? It's function. Okay. There are 42 questions on this test. I just went over a few to kind of give you an idea about them. I'll give or take some because I got to retype the whole thing out and maybe add some picture ones because I like pictures. But otherwise, that is your review for tonight. Go over those miscellaneous study help is what I called it under September 15th on Classroom. And we'll be good to go for that tomorrow. Thanks.